How we doing? I like to bring the energy. Well, let me just tell you, we're so excited. This is actually the first time in our career that Kristen and I are on stage together. So we're excited, and we're excited because of the topic that we get to bring to you guys. We have the law of the ladder, and that's really about character. Your character growth determines the height of your personal growth. We all want to be successful, right? Yes. But really digging deep and looking at that character growth is so vital. And I think this is so timely for Kristen and I, because as you guys start thinking about your first year in network marketing, you learned a lot in that first year, and you're constantly bringing people through that first year. Well, we just celebrated our 1-year wedding anniversary. And I think the parallels between the two are something that we can learn from. Am I right? And so as we start thinking about this, as you start thinking about your first year in network marketing, think back to that first couple of days, first week, right? It was, you get this kit in the mail, or perhaps you get this checklist. And I know at our company, we had a 10-step checklist that we were supposed to follow. It's developing this level of competence quickly, right? Learn the products, learn the pay plan, get out there, start making some money, hit those quick bonuses. That was the idea of the business. Well, at what level do you actually start to infuse character? When did your sponsor say, hey, character is important too? Nowhere in my first year did anybody say anything about character. And as you start thinking about it, is character a necessity for success? How many successful people do you know that maybe lack character? I'm telling you right now, I don't think character is a must for monetary success, which is what we preach in network marketing. And so what happens is we've all climbed up an extension ladder, right? And as we start climbing that extension ladder, the higher you get up the ladder, the more wobbly the thing becomes. And you start looking down, and you're starting to nervous. And is there a support system down there? You start thinking about it. That's what happens is people start climbing this level of success, but if their character isn't where it should be, we're not in a solid support system. And so as you look at most failures, 99% of failures are a result of character. I'll give you some examples, right? Think about how many times, perhaps, you had a bad attitude because things didn't go your way. Is that a result of capacity or character? Character. How many of you perhaps have this habit of being notoriously late? Always late. Perhaps it's because you needed that 5 extra minutes of sleep, or you think you have that valid excuse, but you're constantly late. Is that a result of character or capacity? It's character, right? How many times did you have the opportunity to grow yourself? You had the time, you had the books, and you could work on yourself, but you chose to spend that time doing something that was less worthwhile. Is that an issue of character or capacity? It's character. 99% of our failures come as a result of character, not capacity. If you want to be successful, we've got to work on character.
So, as we were assigned this law, I'll be honest, I struggled for a minute. I wasn't really sure what to talk about because it's kind of a broad law. I mean, character is essential to every just aspect of your life. But a big part of character is authenticity. And as Jordan stated, we just recently got married, and there is nothing quite like marriage to reveal and test your character. There just isn't. And furthermore, there is nothing that tests your character like working with your spouse. That's just a whole nother level. So can I ask you guys in the audience, and then you guys at home as well, how many of you work with your spouse? Yeah, that's a lot of you. That's awesome. So you guys can relate. Now, how many of you can't imagine working with your spouse? There's a lot of those too. We get that a lot, believe it or not. We have learned so quickly that prayer and humility are just the number one things that have really helped us grow. And I know some of you are probably thinking prayer the way that I was thinking prayer in the beginning, which was, Lord, change him, change his heart, please, when we're having a disagreement. But I quickly learned that was the wrong attitude. It was, Lord, change my heart. Show me what I need to do to change. And that has really just helped us so much. I don't think it's a secret that marriage takes work. Marriage is difficult, but anything worth having, it takes work. It just does. And marriage is a beautiful thing. And I know that anybody here who knows me knows that I just adore Jordan. But I mean, marriage is hard, like I said, especially when you work together. So you have to have commitment. And that's really what it comes down to. We don't have everything figured out, obviously. Like I said, we've only been married for a year. However, I will say when you work together, a year really does feel like 5 years because you do spend a lot of time together in a good way. It's a beautiful thing. But it really is. But like I said, we don't have everything figured out, but we do have commitment. And that really does make all of the difference. It changes everything. Your mindset is totally different. Before Jordan and I got married, we invested in so many personal development books. We were reading about marriage. We were going to seminars. I mean, we were doing everything we possibly could to learn about marriage and to learn about each other because it was important to us. And you invest in what is important to you, right? So I just think that commitment, it's a choice. Commitment's a choice, just like love is a choice. I don't know about you guys, but I don't wake up every morning feeling loving. I don't. Probably partially because I'm not a morning person. You know, I'm not really loving to anybody really early, but I don't. But love is a choice, and commitment is a choice as well. So when you are committed, you're unusually resourceful. And that goes for marriage, and that also goes for business. So when you're committed in your business and you're committed in marriage, the question is never, can I or can we? It's how will we or how will I make this happen? And so when you don't have a plan B and there is no out, it changes things. You do things that you wouldn't typically do, and you're resourceful and you find a way. So one of my favorite quotes was on a movie called Fireproof. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but it's a movie on marriage. I highly recommend it. It's amazing. But it says that fireproof does not mean that the fire won't come. It just means that when it does, that you'll be able to withstand it. And I thought that was so powerful because it's not just for marriage. That's for your business as well. That's for life. So when you're committed and you're developing your character, you know, you'll be able to withstand whatever fire comes your way, and it will come. And that's in all things as well. So I think commitment has just been so key just to our marriage and then obviously in our business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So commitment's huge, right? Question for you guys that are watching online too. What do you think is the character trait most desired in a leader? Those of you that have read John's book should know the answer. It's honesty, right? Honesty is so important. And when we think honesty, we think of just not telling a lie. But if we were to really kind of draw at this a little bit more, the synonym is integrity. And if I was to define integrity, it's who you are when no one's watching. That's integrity. And we know that to be true in relationships. We know that to be true in business. Who are you when no one's watching? And we're in this business where we want to rank advanced, we want to grow, we want to increase our checks, we want to increase the recognition and titles. You know, we want to get to our company convention and we have more layers of those silly colored ribbons on our lanyards, right? I'll tell you guys, integrity is so important to your business, but I'll tell you, my darkest moment in network marketing is when I compromised my integrity. I've only told this story once before. I started my business when I was 22 years old, still in college. Everybody told me that it wasn't going to work, and I caught the similar flack that many of you did. I turned down medical school to do the business. And I really wanted this thing to work, and I wanted to prove to people that I could be successful. And proving that to people became really important to me. In fact, it was probably the most important thing to me. And I remember trying to play professional football at that time. I was seeing a chiropractor on a regular basis. And this chiropractor happened to be involved in our company, but with another person. He was in another organization. And week after week after week, I kept coming back to him and I kept asking him, how are you doing in your business? And he kept saying, I don't got time and, they don't really do anything and I haven't really been able to make this thing work. And I kept planting these seeds in his mind that, well, if you were on my team, things would be a lot better. And I kept planting those seeds. And there was an element of where I really did believe that I could help him. But that's because what was most important was me seeing myself and my team grow. And I remember, he kind of said, I don't know if that works, and our company has some policies against that. So I said, no problem. We'll just enroll your wife on my team. And I kid you not, I decided to take that step. I enrolled his wife in my organization. I helped them get a few people, but it wasn't but a few weeks. I got a phone call from an individual that was upline to him in this previous organization, and they wanted to make me aware of the effect, the trickling effect of that decision that I'd made. a young mom had actually sponsored that chiropractor, and that was going to cost them about $200 a month in their organization. And then that caused another person to be upset, and another, and another, and another, to where eventually this individual that had been in the company about 5 years longer than me, every time I would walk into a room, even after this had taken place and I'd taken ownership for it, I still think about that moment where I compromised my integrity. And I took ownership for the whole thing. I called the company. I tried to get everything squared away with compliance. I called every single person that was in the upline, and I said, I'm so sorry. This was a poor decision. It's my fault. I take full ownership for it. It's not his fault. They ended up canceling his distributorship, so he didn't get to participate anymore. And I damaged the person that he had originally been working with. My point is this. I compromised my integrity. That was 8 years ago. Fortunately, by God's grace, I've been able to reconcile with those individuals. But I'll tell you, if I could go back and do it over again, I would. Honesty matters, friends.
So after that very serious point, so speaking of honesty, we're on our way here to speak to you guys about character, right? And we get off the plane in Atlanta, and we're driving, and we get stuck in traffic, and we haven't eaten for about 6 hours. 6 hours. So I start to get hangry. Ladies, I know you know what that means. It is like something just comes over you, and you are just not yourself. And so I had a choice to make in that moment. And I did not make a good choice. I didn't. I'm sorry.
Chick-fil-A.
I'm sorry. My patience was totally out the window at that point, was where I went wrong. But I say that to just share with you guys that character growth, you're never going to arrive. It's just always going to be a work in progress. And giving yourself grace is really just so key to that process, and just sticking with it and just being committed to continually just grow. So it's obvious that we need character growth for our business and for our lives. I think that we can all agree with that, right? But what is more important than growing our businesses? What is more important for growing our character than will result in our business growing? It's our legacy, right? Character affects the legacy that you leave. And my whole life, I've always wanted to be a mom. And that is just something that I have always thought about. And I know I'm never going to be fully ready, and I'm totally never going to have it figured out, especially from all my mom friends that tell me. But I have learned that children do not do as you say, they do as you do. So as I think about our eventual children one day, and I think, who do I want my children to be, and who do I want them to be learning from? And I realize that I'm going to be on stage every single day with them. They're going to be looking at me, watching me, learning from me. And how do I want them to see themselves? If I want them to know that they're a child of God and they have great purpose on their life, I need to walk in that truth myself now. So that when they come, that's what they see. That's their normal, and that's their example. And maybe some of you are thinking, you know what? I don't have children, and I don't really want children. But the reality is you're on stage every day too, whether you have children or not. In this industry, as we're growing a team, and we're stepping into that position of leadership, we have people who are watching us each and every day. And more than they're watching your strategies and your systems and, the way that you grow your business, they're learning from your character. And if you want to just truly leave a lasting legacy, leave people on this earth with good character that you were able to impact that.
Awesome, baby. One more character trait we want to teach you with the time that we have, and this is the one I feel least qualified to teach. It's humility. And I mean that sincerely. Since I was young, my parents told me that I always struggled with pride. And I think part of that was I was always the underdog. I was the tiniest guy in the basketball team. I was that slow white kid. I wanted to work really hard to figure out some way of making the team. I had learning disabilities, so I worked really hard in school, and I was valedictorian. So I worked and I worked and I worked, and I prided myself on my work ethic. I will outwork anyone. And I admire that work ethic. But what happens over time is you start to think a little more highly of yourself than you ought. You start to think of yourself like you deserve where you're at. You deserve what you've got. And we're in an industry that kind of facilitates that. You just do a little thing and you get paraded across stage in front of thousands of people, and you get recognition and honor. And there's an element of recognition that I think is so important, but we start to think of ourselves more highly than we ought. And I see it even within my own organization. I created this system. I came up with this idea. This quote belongs to me. And you start to see it permeate in the network marketing industry, don't we? Remember this quote: you will be unusually successful when you don't care who gets the credit. It doesn't matter who gets the credit. And I tell you, I have to tell myself that over and over and over again. So there's a couple of tips I want to give you guys to stay humble. 3 easy ways, and John teaches these in his book, and I love them. Number 1 is be teachable, right? Keep that beginner's mindset. Always listen to others' perspectives. Be quick to listen, slow to speak. Learn how to listen to others. Ask good questions, right? Keep that teachable spirit. Number 2 is to serve others. The easiest way to drop your ego is to serve others, right? And I'm not talking about just serving people that benefit you. I'm talking about to serve other people, serve your cross line, serve other organizations, serve people that never want to do anything with network marketing. Serve others because it's the right thing to do. I don't care what your badge says. I don't care what your title is. Use the example of Jesus, how he gets on his hands and knees and he washes the feet of his disciples. That's the mindset we want to have when we're serving our team, when we're serving people in this industry. Serve others. And lastly is to be grateful. That attitude of gratitude that Simon talked about. I love this proverb. It says, those who drink the water must remember those who dug the well. I'll say it again. Those who drink the water must remember those who dug the well. We're in an industry that prides ourselves on, I'm a self-made man. I'm a self-made woman. No, you're not. You are there because of others. You're there because somebody poured into you. You're there because the management team has put this wonderful company together and this line of products that you have the opportunity to promote. You're there because of the parents and the pastors and the coaches and the teachers. All of those people instilled something in you. You are not self-made. Remember who dug that well. And as we start to keep that mindset, we will remain humble. And I'll tell you, I want all of you guys to be successful. I really do. But what matters most is your character. Okay? Spend more time working on your character, and I promise you'll be successful.
So I think one of the things that's really hard in this business is you struggle with comparison a lot because you're constantly looking around and you're noticing what everybody else is doing. I want to remind you guys that nobody can do you quite like you can, right? Don't rob the world of the gift of you. Right? When you're trying to be somebody else, there's a void left. God made you to be specifically you. He didn't make you a clone of somebody else, and he did it for a reason. So being authentically you, that's one of the most courageous things that you're ever going to do. And by doing that and walking in your truth and living your truth, you're going to encourage and empower other people to do the exact same. So as we're wrapping up here, I want to end with this. One of the saddest things I see in this world, and especially in this industry, is so many people chasing the wrong things for the wrong reasons. There are so many flashy things to look at, like I said, especially in this industry. And people think, if I can just have that car or that house or that vacation or that rank or that spouse, then I will be happy. But I want to share something with you. 4 years ago, I was single. I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and I was working in a job that I absolutely hated. Fast forward to now, I am married to my best friend. We work from home together, running a very successful business, and I absolutely love what I do. But what is amazing to me is my ability to find joy is the exact same. Like, my source is still the same. And I see so many people chasing after these things, and they often spend their whole lives just trying to fulfill themselves and to fill that void and to make them happy, and only to arrive and realize this is it. Like, and they're still empty. So I want to encourage you guys, if you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy then. You got to work on yourself and you got to work on your character. Truly successful, truly happy people, they prioritize building their character, their heart, and their soul, because in the end, that's really all that's going to matter.